actually, so I'm based out of northern New Jersey, but I oversee the entire Metro New York City area, and I co-see this New England territory over as well. And so what we do is we travel around to all the stores and we train the retail staffs in order to sell our product properly to consumers, making sure that when a consumer comes into the stores, they're getting the right product to get out into the hill. So I'm going to do a lot of that same stuff with y'all today. To talk about layering. So obviously, when we're in a winter environment, layering is crucial. This is actually, strangely enough, an ideal weekend to be talking about layering. I drove up yesterday, made it up for an epically great bluebird day, a little bit of a temperature inversion near the gondola, but what a day yesterday. Woke up this morning, slightly different situation. And then tomorrow, again, warmer temperatures are coming in. So, again, today is this weekend is sort of the testament to layering. I did pack everything I think that I own, from cold weather stuff to spring riding stuff. So I was definitely well prepared for the next 3 days. So what I'm going to start with is basically next to skin items, okay? So sort of the most underrated thing, in my opinion, that people do when they're getting prepared to go outside is they bypass the part that's closest to the skin. Everybody thinks about wearing something super comfortable like cotton, okay? Yes, cotton feels great, t-shirts feel great, but when you are in an environment such as, let's say, a week or so ago, it was, right around 28 degrees, 30 degrees. When you're sweating all day and you're in an aerobic situation of skiing and snowboarding, that cotton actually absorbs all of your sweat. And so when that sweat lives against the body, you're more susceptible to like hypothermia, just sort of anything related to cold weather problems. And that's right at the base layer. So that's right at your first level. So even if you have, a $400 down jacket, a $600 shell, if you're not prepared from the stuff that's closest to your body, it doesn't even matter what you have externally, okay? So as far as the North Face goes, we have competitive base layers, just like everything that you probably heard, like Under Armour, like Nike, Dry Fit, all of that kind of stuff. We have a technology that we use, it's called Flash Dry. Essentially what that is, it's a polyester blended fabric, and it just helps to get the moisture off of your body, and it gets it out into the atmosphere. It starts to get it, again, away from the skin and off of your body to keep it cooler through the environment. I'm also going to leave myself open. I get 20 minutes, I think, to talk. So I'm going to leave myself open for more direct conversation. I'll be here. I have stuff for you to touch and feel. I definitely have, like if I hold this jar up, it doesn't make sense to anybody back over there. So definitely come and see me about questions, comments, concerns, anything you want more detail of after this. Because I'm going to just kind of go try to get through it. Is that good? Cool. So again, when we're talking about base layers, as it relates to the North Face, we use a proprietary technology called Flash Dry. What Flash Dry does, again, is it helps to take the sweat off the body and bring it out into the atmosphere. And the way it does that is there's just hundreds of thousands of pores across a little strand of fabric. So as the sweat is coming out, it also disperses it across the fibers to dry it a little bit quicker. So again, Flash Dry it a little bit quicker, okay? We're about 20% faster than some of our competitors, but we don't have that sort of Under Armour-ish name and not kind of a go-to. But as far as testing goes, we've actually tested about 20% faster than as far as drying than some of our competitors through these base layer releases. The next sort of most underrated sort of piece is going to be your mid-weights, okay? So this is where you're going to slowly start to trap in warmth. So again, as we are sitting here as human beings, heat is coming off of our bodies and out into the atmosphere. So when we're trying to stay warm, we want to start to try to capture, we want to start to try to trap that escaping heat. That's where we're going to do it in our fleece layers, okay? In this environment, you want to be conscious of how they're going to use it. If we put a sweater fleece on a day like today, or a skiing and snowboarding environment, you're doing a highly aerobic activity, you're going to be sweating a lot more. Those thicker fleece layers are going to trap in heat, but also make you perspire a little bit more. So you want to get something that's thin enough to layer accordingly, okay, but still trap in heat. Again, when you guys come up to look, this is what's called a gridded fleece. There's actually tiny little grooves in here that continue to allow the sweat vapors to travel off from your base layer and continue to travel out through the layers of clothing that you're wearing. But the fleece is what's going to trap in the heat. So again, there's a small little, almost like a gridded pattern in there that allows sweat vapors to travel through while while still trapping in the necessary heat to keep you warm in these type of situations. Questions as I go through this, please just ask them too. That helps me kind of steer the conversations that just staring here and talking to this weird like.
Fleece, there's all kinds of fleece.
For sure.
And I found many times that the fleece, some of it does not breathe well. And travel always do that. You're trying to take away from that inside.
Again, yeah, that's for sure. Depends on what type of fleece that you are. How do you know? Just buy North Face fleece. So what fleece does really well, like a good fleece, like the old sort of reliable, like that really soft-handed, doesn't feel like a lot of technical stuff is going on in there. Those trap heat really well as well, but they are highly breathable. So I don't know what kind of experience you have or what brands that you've noticed. But everything from us, aside from like some of our more lifestyle stuff, like anything you would find on the street from the North Face in the Village North Face store would have this technical element to it, where it's going to trap and keep it breathable. So I don't know, maybe it's based off of a brand. Do you have an experience with a certain particular brand? Because everything that I can think of has a breathability component to it, unless it's like a sweater type fleece. What was your name? Jessica is wearing one of our sweater type fleeces. So something like that is going to have less breathability than one of our gridded fleeces that is specifically designed for this type of environment. The reason for that is that's a lifestyle piece. Great après, great coming to a meeting type thing, where it's going to keep her very nice and warm and trapping a lot of that heat. So it could be based off of brand as well, or how they're trying to market that particular piece.
When you talk about layering, one of the issues I have, and I think it applies to consumers that are coming to the mountains for the first time or don't come along, is what do you do for sizing? You know, you talk about the base layers that are supposed to be snug and tight, you downsize, and then you kind of keep progressing up through the chart. How do you guys at North Face determine what to suggest for sizing when you're doing all these multiple layers?
Fantastic question. So yes, you want to get, especially the components that are next to maybe closest to your body, you want to get all of those as close and tight to the body as humanly possible without being restricted. I'm general large, and I wear large in everything. And so when we're designing a base layer, when we're designing a fleece like this, or when we're designing a different style of mid-weight, like something like a red shirts jacket, we're taking into account right off the bat that there is going to be a layering component. So we're going to size the lengths a little bit shorter. We're going to bring in the chest a little bit tighter overall as well. So on our end, we're putting that into the design aspects of the garment because we understand that everything's going to be going in progression. So we want it to fit your true to size, but still have its technical fitting ability. But yes, when you're layering something, you definitely want it to be snug. When you go to downsize, I wouldn't downsize because it's going to be an awkward fit where it's just going to be uncomfortable. So if you're buying the proper stuff, you know, again, if we're going back to Jessica. If we're going to Jessica's fleece, you wouldn't want to ski and snowboard or something like that. That's going to be an after. And then same thing too. If we're going into a medium type shirt, it's just going to be uncomfortable to wear. So buying the proper things, you know, hopefully we're doing our job right at the training level. So when the consumer goes into the stores, they're telling those same messages at the retail level as well. But when we're designing things, we're doing things with a very defined end user, how that garment is going to be used, and we're taking a lot of that into account. That was a good question. Okay, so while we're in the world of fleece, yes, there's a multitude of different fleeces. Sweater fleeces, we're categorizing everything based off of weight. So we start at 100 weight fleece, which is sort of like a little bit thicker than a long sleeve t-shirt. We go into a 200 weight, which is essentially what this mannequin has on, so you can come and feel that weight. And what Jessica is wearing is what's called a 300 weight. Our Denali's, if you guys are familiar with that piece, that is a 300 weight sweater fleece. So that is the biggest, bulkiest, thickest thing that we make. So again, in the layering situation, it's going to be cumbersome underneath the jacket, where this 200 weight sits between both that sort of like I said, glorified t-shirt and that sweater fleece.
I'm definitely guilty of layering with the Denali because it's great on days where it might get warm enough where you want to get rid of the shell and use the fleece as an outer.
Fantastic.
Is there a difference between meant to be a mid-layer exclusively versus can also be brought as the outer layer?
So we saw a downtrend in that because of bulk, okay? And so what we started to do as of spring of this year, we introduced this Vectrex garment. And what this is a synthetic body temperature regulating insulation, okay? Come up and see me about this one because there's definitely a visual element that I'd like to explain on it. But it's the same thickness as Jessica's fleece there and the same thickness as that Denali. But because it's again, meant to be tight to the body, the synthetic insulations in here aren't as thick and they compress. They fit really nicely underneath the shell. And you can wear this outside as well. A little bit more technical actually than your Denali, but as progression in time went on, materials became lighter in weight. We didn't need to have a 300 weight to still achieve that heat. And another thing too is when we're in this highly aerobic activity of skiing and snowboarding, we are dumping a lot of heat. Our bodies are producing a ton of heat. So those 300 weight, that almost put a bit of a deterrent because your body was producing so much heat that was just too much. So yeah, those things store a ton of heat, and when we're producing a lot more heat, it could be either a plus or a negative. Okay, so where was I? Kind of going all over the place now. So again, we talked fleece. Super lightweight, not a ton of tech going on inside of fleece. It is definitely meant to be layered underneath something. And then as we go into the true insulation stories, there's two major stories. You have down, which is old reliable, right? Everybody probably in this room owns multitudes of down products, sleeping bags, jackets, probably comforter at your house for sleeping. It is the most reliable insulator that there is. And the reason for that, it's tried and true. For its weight to warmth ratio, it is still unmatched. And so, as it relates to the North Face, all of our down is 100% goose down. All of our down, from kids through our premium stuff in our Summit Series collections, all meets what's called RDS, so it's all responsibly sourced down as well. So, the most humane treatment of birds for their time period. It's all monitored through a third-party vendor plus us as well, and it all meets our standards. So everything that we're producing, metric tons of this down, all meets our responsible standard. But when down gets wet, the loft of the down gets compromised, and it actually reduces the amount of insulating property that it has, okay? So unless you're putting a waterproof base fabric over that, down in an environment like what we have going on this weekend might not be the best insulator. So then synthetic insulation is a man-made polyester blended fabric, and it is hydrophobic, okay? So even when it's completely submerged in water, it actually still stores heat. And actually, come see me, because I actually have stuff you can play with on that level as well. So that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, is going more towards synthetics as a mid-weight insulator in this type of environment. We just sent a crew down to Antarctica last 2017. We sent them down there for three weeks for an expedition. One of the biggest requests for product-wise was a down overshell, like their belaying jackets, those big puffy jackets. They wanted a synthetic version of that. Because of the extreme cold, they didn't want to have to think and worry about if the down got wet and the moisture was trapped in there, if the down was so cold that it actually crushed and turned to dust. So the synthetics are actually are taking strides to becoming the insulating story in conditions such as these, where you just never know what's going to happen. It's going to rain one day, it's going to be bluebird one day. So definitely come and see me about those, because I have some stuff for you to hold. I'll show you the hydrophobic properties of the synthetic insulation, and it'll make a lot more sense. But yeah.
What is this synthetic insulation made of?
So it's blended. It's mostly polyester nylon blends. So like Primaloft has varyings. The Denali jacket, which is a synthetic also, is 100% recycled plastic bottles. So it depends on the manufacturer that's using it, but it's a polyester nylon blended fabrication overall.
Talk a little bit about Vortex. Is there something looking for a Vortex jacket or prices there from 300 to 600, I feel like, or you can get a Vortex available?
Yeah.
So some are stretchy
Yeah, so as far as Gore-Tex goes, you kind of beat me to it by about, I'd say about 56 minutes or so. I'll still steer the question. So what Gore-Tex is, it's a membrane construction. And what it is 100% waterproof, sort of rubberized fabric, but it's highly breathable, okay? So Gore-Tex came out in the mid-70s. And it was just a revolutionary product. It allowed people to stay outside longer. You didn't have to worry about what was going on out there. It didn't allow water to come through the fabric. So what it does is it allows water molecules to stay in their molecular shape longer. So water beads right off. So they don't compress, they don't slam down, they don't get compromised, and they just roll right off. But internally is where Gore-Tex magic really happens. It's a highly breathable fabric. So if we've ever been in a situation where we were in an emergency situation, we have to wear a poncho. I'm sure there's probably plenty of people in this room that have probably worn a poncho in their life too. Gross situation, all right? So what's happening is the plastic is inherently waterproof, okay? So it's not allowing the water to come in, but it doesn't breathe. Plastic does not breathe, so it's trapping in all of that escaping heat. All of the moisture is living inside of that garment. You're actually creating humidity inside of that plastic bag, and that's what's making it stick to your body. So what Gore-Tex does better than anything else on the market is allows the body to continue to breathe. Per square inch of Gore-Tex membrane, there's 9 billion pores of breathability in that membrane. So when we're dealing with a jacket like this, again, just imagine, again, in a square inch, there's 9 billion pores of breathability. Imagine how much is on that jacket right there. So it allows you to zip it up basically once, go do what you have to do, and stop worrying about everything else in the market. The reason, too, why it's so much more expensive is we don't just go to Gore-Tex and say, okay, I like this blue fabric, let's buy a bunch of it. We buy it, they test it, we build a sample, we build final production to get it back for testing. Each one of the Gore-Tex garments, regardless of what brand it is, goes through rigorous back and forth time and testing, and that's where you're getting your elevated price tag, because when they put their seal of approval on it, it's gone through everything that they needed to go through to get that Gore-Tex tag. As it stands right now, there's 3 major Gore-Tex membranes that are on the market. I mean, literally, when it has the tag on it, it's the same thing that they made in 1972. There's 2 other versions of it. There's one that's called Forward Pro, which lives in this world, it's Steven Snowboard. But basically, it's twice as thick of a membrane. There's that oil-phobic layer in between those 2 layers. So as it's kind of a gross situation where our bodies are sweating, oils are coming out, they're getting trapped inside of this lovely $700 jacket. They're clogging up all those 9 billion pores of breathability. And then having that oil-phobic layer doesn't allow it to transfer through the garment, which actually keeps the garment living longer, keeps it waterproofing, keeps its breathability rating happening longer. Does that make sense?
So Stan, when you have Gore-Tex, like for example, I have a pair of gloves that were great for years, and I don't trust them as much anymore. My hands are kind of cold. Really?
The biggest thing that you can do, the biggest benefit that you can do to waterproof, breathable technology, whether it's in a rain shell, whether it's in a ski and snowboard shell, whether it's our house brand drive-in, waterproof, breathable technologies, is washing these garments. Because what you're doing is like that analogy that I just said about the oils burning off and getting trapped into the back of these garments. You're going to reduce that, number 1. Number 2, you're going to actually clean out the pores and breathability of that. And then number 3 is when you put these things back in the dryer, it's where it actually sort of remorphs the DWR, the coating that's in these garments, and it actually brings it back to life simply by drying these garments. If I'm going to put the garment in the dryer, I always like to wash it first.
I hate to say it, these are leather. The Gore-Tex on the inside, you can't really throw the wash.
There's still a treatment. Nick Wax makes a really good aftermarket treatment that they kind of co-develop with Gore-Tex or your local outdoor shop. They will have something to help you treat that leather. But again, with any sort of waterproof breathable technologies, everything's rated for 20 washes. So I'm pretty victim to it. I mean, I have a jacket. I have jackets that probably never gone through the washing machine. So 20 washes is probably 2 lifetimes worth of need. But everything is rated for 20 washes.
What do you wash it with?
So personally, is this, you want the defined answer or do you want the personal answer?
Tide or do you need
So, I personally use non-dye liquid detergent at this point. Everything has been said to use powdered detergents. I don't even know where you can still buy. Somebody told me they were shopping it on the internet, and Amazon still have powdered detergents. So for convenience and realistic everyday life type stuff, I use a non-dye liquid detergent. When I wash it, I put it on a delicate cycle. Then when I put it in the dryer, I do the same thing. I put it on a delicate cycle, let it get nice and hot, and I might do it for a second round, maybe half the cycle. Because again, all of these fabrics are coated with a DWR. Some are a little bit heavier than others. Some are actually a structural part of the fabrication. But what it is it's a liquefied base thing that keeps water out of these guys. Just 1 second. I'm on a roll here. It's a liquid-based agent that keeps the water out of these garments. And through rubbing and everything like that, that will wear. Okay? And so when we heat it up, when we put it in the dryer, it actually gets that liquid back into a liquid state. It actually will bleed itself back into the place of the need. Like that old Transformer movie, Terminator movie, with the petals of clear thing and reformed thing. It's kind of the same thing happening here, where by the heat in the dryer, it will actually reignite that DWR and reactivate it and morph it back to where it needs to be.
And should we be using DWR in?
So there's definitely, again, kind of going back to that question about care too, there's definitely, like Nigwax, in my opinion, makes sort of the best care for these tech garments, and it's literally called tech wash. But, you know, if you don't want to travel X amount of distance to your closest outdoor shop because you go riding tomorrow or something like that, quick fix, again, just go, probably already have it, non-detergent, non-dye, because all those other chemicals in there are going to affect the property of the garment. So by going non-dye, you're going to not dump anything else into that, like the Febreze that they're doing, no dryer sheets, any of that kind of stuff. Keep it as plain and simple as possible. So again, non-dye, non-fragrant, no dryer sheets for the dryer. There was one back there. You have a question? Or you just waiting for me?
No, just.
I think you said there were.
Yes, I will.
I think you said there were 3 different membranes for Gore-Tex. You got covered 2.
Oh, so yeah, so there's one that we use a little bit more consistently through our rain collection, and it's called Paclay. And essentially what we're doing there is we're just sort of stretching the membrane a little bit to make it a little bit thinner overall, so it's lighter in weight. It's not as crunchy. If you've ever worn Gore-Tex items, they have a tendency to be very stiff and rigid. And so with that, we're just trying to play with still keeping the waterproofing high, still keeping the breathability high, but allowing more range of mobility, just more wearability, if you will, by making the membrane a little bit thinner, internally and inherently just making the garment flow a little bit better overall.
Some people in the industry suggest, especially before a day like today, and I didn't do it, but a day like today, putting a starch guard, does that hurt anything? Does it help?
It doesn't hurt. But these garments are engineered to do all of that anyway. And so where I would probably use Scotch Guard a little bit more is on a DWR coated, so aftermarket, non-waterproof garment. Because it'll give it a little bit better, it'll allow the water to lean up a little bit and off on something like this. So we've all kind of had those garments, I would imagine, that are just water-resistant garments, and those are coated after the construction of the garment, so they're not as highly waterproof. Okay, so if you're in a water situation, if you're in rain, snow, anything like that, the water will actually bleed through the fabric and then all the way into the garment as well. So that's the biggest thing when we're dealing with resistancy versus proof. So a water-resistant garment, you can put something else after that, but when it says waterproof, that garment is engineered to keep water out. Scotch Guard thing, mostly for cosmetic reasons, as far as not getting stains. You know, I have a 9-year-old, I order a white jacket. So the first thing that I did was I went and I bought Scotchgard. She wrote in it yesterday. She spilled chocolate milk on it in the morning and beat it right off. So that was a good situation. So yeah, the garments are engineered to do that. So I wouldn't do it. You're just putting a layer over that for no reason. It could discolor it too. So if you pay like $700 for a jacket and get your Scotchgard and then mishandle the spray, it'll clump up and go. Not really. So
you don't suggest?
I don't suggest. I do not, unless you have a 9-year-old that's blow away with. Where's the nearest one? So Al Gore's brother did not that I know. The story that I've been told is a gentleman by the name of William Gore, and he mistakenly stumbled upon this creation. Essentially, his garage. He was working for DuPont Plastics. They were working on creating the first non-stick frying pan. So they were developing how to keep your eggs from burning on a frying pan. He was taking chemicals home from what the urban legend is, and he was making it in his garage, and he figured out this compound. And again, I have an actual sample of Gore-Tex here, so I have the actual membrane too. So if you want to touch it, so we're kind of all over, which is phenomenal. But I don't know. So we're going to leave it up to the question and answer. Perfect. So the thing that you want to do in dealing with down. So when I had my pre-scheduled speech that I was going on, and I said about the down, you don't want it to get wet. Obviously, you still want to wash that. You can easily wash it. Same thing, there's an aftermarket care kit for down. But the biggest thing, just like Gore-Tex, the biggest thing you want to do with down is dry it. Because it is a natural fabric, it will absorb water. If it's not dried properly, it will mildew and it will mold. So the biggest thing that you want to do when dealing with down is make sure that it's dry. A couple things that there are aftermarket dryer things for it. They're like little, almost like stress balls. You put them in the pockets, right? And so as the down is traveling through the dryer, it's essentially like grandma back in the day. She would take the rug outside and she would beat it. So those little balls or the things that you put inside the pockets will actually beat the down up and allow air to get inside the loft and allow the down to fully dry. The thing you never, ever want to do is take it out of the washer and just hand dry it. Because essentially, yeah, you're going to not dry it, more mildew and mold.
A few years ago, Kelly Davis, when she was an SIA, her presentation, she talked about the urban outdoors being the biggest trend in clothing. For any given year, what do you expect? What percentage of gear is made by North Faces? Where do you see it's useful for making
Fantastic question. As of fall 18, which we're currently living in, we actually have an entire catalog and collection called Urban Explorer. The reason for that is the demand for this product in that setting. The biggest thing that we're currently doing is, on a marketing level, is strategically marketing our brand to those end consumers. When we're coming out with a garment, we have a very, very defined user for that. And so by defining an urban consumer, we're now giving that consumer exactly what they need without stepping on the toes of our core nucleus, of our ski resort, our outdoor, our expedition, all that kind of stuff. Just one second. I'm just going to finish this, just so you're not sitting up there with your hand out. So yeah, so as of really last fall, it's really taking more life this year, is we're specifically marketing in that channel, creating product, silhouettes. But what's funny is two of our biggest, most popular urban pieces for this year are the 1996 Nuptse jacket, which was literally created to go on expedition, and the 1990 mountain jacket, which also in 1990 was the most technical mountaineering jacket you could make. And so now we just pulled those silhouettes obviously out. Those are the silhouettes that the urban market has adapted to it. Never. And so we've addressed that again. where we're getting more, the silhouettes we're introducing now have some of those design lines on a more technical level, and it didn't fit the need for this consumer. Where on that consumer, it's based off of fashion. Is it colorful, reflective, tonal camos, stuff like that, where that's happening without stepping on these people's toes. If that makes sense. So that was a strategic pull for us. That was a very large group of source of income for us, where we needed to address that. We did. I think personally, being from New York City area, I see this living and breathing. I'm skiing and snowboarding for 27 years. We're doing things on the mountain level that the urban consumer has no idea. And then when I come and talk to even mountain shops, they have no idea what we're doing with the urban consumer level because of how we're marketing this.
One more time about not putting down outerwear in the dryer.
Do put down in the dryer. Do, please.
Do put it.
Do, please.
What about outerwear that has a warning that it could melt the outer finish?
So what you need to do there is, and this is one of the reasons, going back to your initial question, is how I take care of everything. I put everything on a delicate cycle. The reason you put it on a delicate cycle is because it's high heat that ruins these things. So if you put it on max and then put it in there, the high heat will damage the garment. By going to a delicate, you're dealing with medium style heat. And you can do it, like I said, I do it maybe if I need to, I'll put it in for another half cycle or something like that.
Please tell me again why it should not be air dried, because
because the feather plumes, they actually absorb water because it's a natural element. And so the water will live in there, it'll stay in there. And so if we're dealing with a down jacket, we've all seen sort of like the baffling that's on a jacket, correct? So in these little nooks and crannies, the tighter to the stitching areas, if it's clumped up in there, you're not going to properly dry it by air drying it, by letting it sit there, and that'll get mold and mildew. By putting it in the dryer and going through the tumbling process, you're allowing air to fill into that baffle, which is going to help dry it down. Is that good?
For the most part, 95% of the world does not ski or snowboard. And if you're a ski area marketer or you're a broadcast meteorologist, you're talking to a lot of people that don't ski or snowboard. And a lot of those people hate winter. So my question is...
That's very personal, actually.
My question is, what is the number one piece of advice you could offer those 95% people on the best way to dress? And they're accustomed to wearing a New England Patriots jacket, a pair of blue jeans, and 4 pair of socks.
Move to Canada.
Aside from the Patriots jersey, so what you want to tell the majority of the consumer is, again, pairing up a lot of the stuff that I was scheduled to properly talk through, pairing them together. So you want to mash up some sort of waterproof fabrication with a really nice insulator underneath, because it's going to keep the water out and it's going to trap the heat in. So we have a collection of gear. It's called our Tri-Climate series. Essentially, it's you're buying 3 jackets in one. That is the best thing for that consumer. Going into the 3 socks thing, it kind of goes into my comment about wearing cotton. Absolutely the worst thing you can do, buy a wool sock. Go find a nice wool sock. Just become a little bit more educated. Spend a little bit more time. All this information, like when I first started working in ski retail in 1992, it was up to the shop kid to really tell those stories. Now, with the age of the internet, I can find 15 things in my back pocket in 8 minutes. So just more education as far as, waterproof, breathable, insulated stories. That's what I would want to say. We have a Tri-Climate series where you're getting a removable liner with a shell jacket. So you can wear it all year round. It's a rain shell. When it gets really cold, you can zip your inner liner into that garment. And in my personal opinion, synthetics. Try to educate and talk more about synthetic insulations. They work really, really well, but they're not as fickle as down. Good? You like that answer? Perfect.
I'm a big fan of.
Okay.
What do you think about, base layers?
Fantastic. Because two things. First and foremost, well, actually a bunch of things. Wool is really comfortable. So going back to the three-stop thing, wool, like finding a nice wool layering thing is phenomenal. Wool is incredibly comfortable against the skin. It has really high insulating value for how light it is. And the really best thing, especially in this sort of aerobic ski snowboard environment, is it's natural, it's inherently antimicrobial. So it doesn't have the sting as some of these more synthetic stuff does, like the base layers. If you're rolling base layers for an extended period of time, they definitely, they have their own little life to them. So by getting a wool garment, by getting a wool layering piece, you're getting incredibly high comfort value, you're getting high insulating value, but the biggest thing, in my personal opinion, is the antimicrobial. So all wool is inherently antimicrobial. So you don't have to put an aftermarket product onto like a synthetic product because it's naturally doing it on its own. But you're running price. So that's kind of where, with wool, you just have to deal with pricing. But when you tell that story properly as far as all the benefits of it, the price shouldn't be determined. Good question. Okay, so again, I will be here for the night, so come ask me more questions. Again, I have a lot of show and tell items here, so if you want to play around with some PrimaLoft synthetic installations, I can showcase some of our new insulating technologies that we have in the market as well. Synthetic gowns, I have all the kind of stuff here, so come see me. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the night.